If there were 100 claims and we only needed 3 bots to do that within a period of time, we're able to allocate those bots dynamically and leave the rest of those bots to go work on more work in another area, rather than just simply scheduling them and expecting them to, clock in, clock out, and then they're done. They're working the whole time. They're constantly working. I'm Chris Draven, Manager of Automation for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas City, affectionately known as Blue KC, and here's why I'm at UiPath Forward. We really got started in the journey of automating at Blue KC in the midst of a global pandemic, 2020. And our goal was twofold: to find immediate value within the organization so that we're a nonprofit, so we wanted to make sure that we were paying for ourselves as an automation capability within the organization, and then also really look at easing administrative burden, especially in the claims processing world. First focus was to develop a center of excellence that allowed us to agree from the beginning of what success looked like, especially if you're being pushed to deliver ROI, but also deliver enough ROI that you're paying for the staff and the consultants and the software costs. It became important that we agreed to, from the beginning, what success looked like. And so we began that by finding ways of, if you've worked in automation, the first thing that any finance executive wants to say is, here's a balance sheet, show me how many people we got rid of, show me where the success is. And so we had to come together with the business, with IT, with the automation team, and finance to talk about how do we build a COE and a cost-benefit analysis function within our COE that allows us to identify the best opportunities that will drive that value and get us there. And then at the end, everyone still agrees that the value is what we forecasted, instead of at the end someone deflating your wins by saying, I don't see where the FTE savings has happened. So that was a big push for us. So ROI for claims is pretty simple. When you look at a claim, it's a single transaction. It takes a certain amount of time and a certain amount of effort. And our company had already done a lot of what we call efficiency standards, to identify, to handle this type of claim, you should get this number of minutes or seconds or whatever the time is, if you're a manual adjuster, someone who is adjusting the claim manually. So we were able to quantify that pretty simply and say, if the average salary is this, and the average for the person who processes this work, and it takes X minutes, then that would be X dollars. And so every transaction at the end on the output, we were able to go back with that transactional cost and say, hey, here's the actual dollar amount that we've saved based on this process. So another really key development that we had in our journey, especially in 2020, was working with COVID-related claims. And so we were able to focus our team on identifying any claim within our system that was for a patient who had a COVID-related diagnosis, and help them achieve the max benefit that we as an organization had decided that we were going to pay claims at a certain rate, and we were able to leverage automation to not only identify those claims, but then go back, reprocess those claims, or catch those claims as they came in, and then pay them at that rate. So it was a huge success for us internally, but the success externally was that our members didn't see any sort of abrasion or have any sort of concern about their COVID claims being paid. A huge win for us is when we upgraded and began using triggers and began using more dynamic scheduling of our bots, or dynamic allocation of bots. Would schedule a bot process to run at a specific time on a specific day, and then that bot process would run and it would end. And we quickly found that that's not a way to scale when you have a variable size of a process. So sometimes it may need to run 100 claims, sometimes it may need to run 1,000 claims. We were able to use dynamic allocation in using triggers to create environments within Orchestrator that allowed us to deploy bots to heavier units of work. So if there were 100 claims and we only needed 3 bots to do that within a period of time, we're able to allocate those bots dynamically and leave the rest of those bots to go work on more work in another area, rather than just simply scheduling them and expecting them to, clock in, clock out, and then they're done. They're working the whole time. They're constantly working. At Blue KC, we just renewed with UiPath. So we have definitely committed to this platform and its capabilities, and in addition to renewing, we just went through an upgrade and have leveraged our premium support. I know that sounds like I'm preaching to the choir, but the TAMs have been amazing. They've been there to help us out. And that wasn't a paid plug, that was just for me. I've really enjoyed working with our dedicated team, both on the account side and on the technical support side.